Elder Scrolls Online draws in many roleplayers and has retained a strong, lively RP community for over 2 years. There are a lot of reasons why roleplayers love ESO, and we've gotten quite a few pro RP features from the developers since the game has been released, including chat bubbles, costumes, civilian clothing, improved phasing, and more. I'm the Human Floyd, and today I'm going to suggest 10 relatively small improvements ZeniMax Online Studios could make to ESO, which would benefit roleplayers in particular. These suggestions come from across the RP community. I compiled them to celebrate reaching 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you guys. I say relatively small changes because it's my hope that ZeniMax will try to incorporate some of these suggestions into their big list of stuff to add to the game. That said, these aren't things the developers can whip up overnight. I tried to have a balance between useless additions and things that were way too complicated or intensive. Also, if you haven't already heard, ZeniMax is currently working on or in the planning stages for several major RP-related additions to the game. These additions include character re-customization, appearance, race, and name change, weapon dyes, player housing, cross-faction interaction, additional character slots, more emotes, and extra character customization features like new hairstyles and tattoos. Now, let's take a look at 10 relatively small things ZOS could do for roleplayers. Note these are all things roleplayers have said they would be willing to spend crowns on. Number 1. In-game civilian clothing store. While the justice system provided us with hours of entertainment pickpocketing and robbing the honest, hard-working NPCs of Tamriel, and included the addition of civilian clothing, it can be pretty time-consuming to try and build an outfit out of the random scraps of clothes you get for your nefarious deeds. The drop rate is very low. Our first suggestion is an in-game civilian clothing store. These would be like any other in-game shops, but would sell exclusively statless RP gear. ZOS could add them to the largest city of each zone, perhaps with different styles available in different cultural areas to make things more interesting. Since the clothes are already in-game items which players can equip, this seems like a simple but useful change for roleplayers. It would also serve the purpose of being a gold dump, which every MMO needs plenty of. Number 2. Emote while sitting. See that NPC? And that one? They're emoting and sitting at the same time. But as a player, when you try to do another emote such as /eat or /flute while sitting, you'll find that your character isn't a very good multitasker. Number 3. Temporary camps and campfires. This one I would personally empty my crown coffers for. Roleplay adventures tend to lead off the beaten path at times. As a big fan of travel RP, I find that my favorite roleplay takes place deep in the wilderness. There are many abandoned camps around the world in-game, but wouldn't it be awesome to be able to set your own tent, or to create a campfire? This could be a crown store trinket. ZOS could start with a single tent and campfire, then possibly expand down the road to include other types of tents or additional props for roleplayers and machinima creators alike. Number 4. /roll command. Rolling dice to determine the outcome of in-character actions has been a part of roleplaying since it was invented. Many roleplayers use websites like rolls.org, no wait, that's the wheelchair website, rolls.org with 1 L, and other random number generators are great. But wouldn't it be awesome if you could just type /roll and the game would automatically generate a random number between 1 and 100 for everyone in your party to see? Number 5. Everyday objects and tools. /torch is a great emote, but lacks the excitement of using torches in previous Elder Scrolls games since you can't walk around with it. Torches, brooms, pipes, shovels, and other tools are already in the game, like many of the suggestions I've mentioned on this list. Being able to walk around with a clipboard, book, or hammer while roleplaying would add an extra element of customization and atmosphere to everyone's experience. Number 6. Unlock completed quest areas. This is one of those examples of me not knowing a whole lot about programming, and how hard stuff like this actually is. But I know many players would absolutely love this feature, and it's not something you hear about as much, so I had to include it. There are many fantastic quests in ESO, some of them with equally fantastic settings which we never get to see again once the quest is complete. Perhaps instead of locking us out of completed quest areas, ZOS could allow us to return to the dungeons, Oblivion Plains, and other cool locales after we complete the quest. The area could potentially be emptied of all enemies, allowing for the perfect RP environment. Think of all the new places you could set your storylines. Number 7. Character Description Section. Some MMOs feature or have add-ons which allow RPers to display a description of their character. This is a great way for roleplayers to identify one another and share extra details about their character which can't be seen in-game. Many roleplayers don't like the idea of having a character's entire history written for all to see. They prefer to learn these things through IC interactions. So perhaps the sections for this character description tab could be physical description, public knowledge, things most people could learn about this character, and rumors, things which may or may not be true, but are said about the character. Whatever form it took, this would be something RPers would love to have available to us. Number 8. Consistent walk speed. Those who don't roleplay in ESO often might not understand number 8, but spend a little more time walking around while you roleplay and it will immediately make sense. Walking next to other players can be a little harder than it looks, especially when you're trying to type out emotes at the same time. It's made even more difficult because tabbing out makes your character run. Sometimes RPers tab out to check their character sheet or reference a bit of lore before posting. Or check Facebook if they're truly terrible people. Yeah, you. Another problem can be walking while mounted. Your mount's speed applies to their walking as well, so everyone's mounts walk at a different pace. This causes a constant start-stop in an attempt to match up paces with one another, and is really distracting. Finally, speed boosting spells will make your character do a funky slow run that completely breaks immersion. A constant walk speed would be a fantastic quality of life change for RPers. No matter what buffs I have, how fast my mount is, or whether or not I'm tabbed out, I just want to walk with my friends. Number 9. Invisignore. This could maybe have been number 1, since it would save a lot of people a lot of frustration. Personally, I've learned not to care so much about trolls, but some people have a really hard time role-playing when some jerk is jumping around naked or dancing inside their character, and I can't blame them. The ignore function works wonders for clearing out the text box, but what if ignoring someone also made their character disappear? No more trolls. Before I unveil my number 1 pick for a relatively small thing ZOS could do for roleplayers, I have a few honorable mentions. These didn't quite make the list because they were either too complicated, too big, or weren't something that the large majority of roleplayers really want. Werewolf skin that disables when you enter combat. This way you can't trick people in PvP into thinking you're a werewolf, but can RP as a werewolf. Wardrobe system. Pick what gear you display on your character while still gaining stats from your real gear. Also, the ability to save outfits so you don't have to go rifling through your bank for RP clothes. Dynamic character movement. Being able to turn without looking like this. Also, being able to back up without having your weapon drawn. More emotes. Pipe smoking, cross-legged sit, right loop, fishing loop. Sitting in chairs. If only we could just click and sit. Talking animation when you type in /say. Dyeing costumes. Love the costumes in this game, ZOS, but does it come in black as dark as my orphaned, tortured soul? /mood command for facial expressions. Or spine expressions? Custom accessories for characters and mounts. I swear I'll make a YouTube series called Pimp My Guar if you make this happen, ZOS. More empty houses and buildings to roleplay in. Yeah, player housing is coming eventually, but we can never have too many places to roleplay in. Custom chat channels. If I could type /join Argonian RP, for example, it would create a chat channel with that name, and other Argonian RPers could join it. This could be used for OOC coordinating or even IC text-based roleplay. And finally, my top pick, number 10, RP flagging. While the idea of an RP megaserver has been tossed around and sounds pretty cool, a simpler solution would be to allow players to flag ourselves for RP. This could be a toggle, either IC, OOC, or the default, off, for the soulless people who don't roleplay. There could be a symbol or the letters IC or OOC next to a character's name if they were flagged for RP. This would immediately let you know who is roleplaying and who is not. It would also help shy RPers get a better idea of how many people actually love RP as much as they do. The OOC flag would allow those of us who occasionally quest or explore out of character let other RPers know that we're not currently looking to roleplay, but we might be interested some other time. Players flagged for RP, either as OOC or IC, could automatically be phased with other RP flagged players. This would finally eliminate the phasing problem and circumvent the need for an RP megaserver. By providing a toggleable RP flag or any of the items on this list, ZeniMax would put themselves on the map for roleplayers across the globe. I talked to a lot of longtime roleplayers who lament the days when, quote, developers cared about RP. I believe that Zoss is the first MMO developer we've seen in a long time that truly does care about roleplayers. Just listen to the interview they set up for me with the lead lore master. ZeniMax, on behalf of the Elder Scrolls Online roleplay community, we thank you for creating a wonderful world for us to practice our craft in, and we hope that you take these suggestions to heart. Thank you to everyone who made suggestions for this video. I want to hear more of your ideas in the comments. What parts of my list do you agree with, and what parts do you disagree with? Let me know, and keep roleplaying. Peace.